Hey, Gearheads. This is Chris with Gear-Report.com, and welcome back to this week's installment of Hangin with Pickl. This week, I've got an interesting guest showing up, and we're going to be talking. This week's installment of Hangin with Pickl. We're going to be talking lingo and terms and just hammock generalities. If you've got any questions, please go ahead and throw them out in the YouTube and StreamYard chats, and I will promise you I will get to them just as quickly as we can. So without further ado, let me bring in my co-host tonight, wherever he may be. Oh, he's hiding out. Where's he at? Where's he at? Oh, look, it's the Tactical Sanchez, the man that knows all there is to know about hammock camping. And he even brought some notes, ladies and gentlemen. The Tactical Sanchez has notes today. Just kidding.
How you doing tonight,
Mike,
Chris?
Tar Heel State Hangers president. How you doing tonight, Mike?
Doing good. How about yourself? I said I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. So, how's life gone in your world this week? Before we get into this,
Just been a normal week for me. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of changes in lifestyle or anything. Then again, I pretty much stay hermit unless I'm out there camping with y'all.
Hey, Barry showed up to the party. What's going on, Barry? Yeah, as for me, I've just been doing the work thing here at the house, stranded. Got my girls by my side. The only time I'm going out is to the grocery store for food or to the backyard to climb in the hammock for 5 minutes. And that's all I could stand today because pollen got so bad in my eyes. Had to come back inside. So.
That's when you go.
John Ramble's here. Welcome,
Gear
trailheads from North Carolina or from Southwest Ohio. So, the point of tonight's discussion, and is really along the same lines as with the last week with Roxanne and the newer hangers, is I just wanted to see, let's go over some of those terms that some people may not be familiar with, may not be comfortable with, may not know what they are. If you happen to have a question from the Peanut Gallery, also known as the viewership, please go ahead and throw it out there. Mike and I promise we will get to it tonight. Let's start with the classics. Mike, the first word that caught my attention when I started hammocking so long ago, that really just sort of jumped out at me as being a cool word to say and had to figure out what it was all about, was whoopee sling. What is a whoopee sling?
All right, well, let's give you the definition of a whoopee sling.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, he made notes for this week.
Oh. Okay, this is just basically the abbreviations. So whoopee sling would be abbreviated WS, but whoopee sling is a spliced suspension. Basically, you have a fixed loop at one end and an adjustable loop at the other. And you hook one end to your hammock and one end to your tree strap, and then you can tighten that one end and change, the distance of your suspension.
What's some of the benefits of carrying a whoopee sling?
I've used them for everything but hanging. I've wrapped one around a tree and used it to hang my pack. I've lashed stuff onto my pack with it. Various other usages, such as like strapping something down to your vehicle or whatever. And actually, it's made out of Amsteel. You could actually take a whoopee sling and hook it between two trucks and use one truck to pull the other truck.
Yep. Have you used one to pull a vehicle out of the mud? It is a very lightweight, low bulk, adjustable suspension that is highly adjustable and very lightweight. Some of the drawbacks and some of the negatives, it's a constrictor knot.
You're going to lose that much at each end. 6 to 12 inches, you're going to lose at each end of adjustability because of the way Barry is on the am steel, or the way it loops back through itself.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you attach that to the tree?
Say what? I'm sorry, I missed that question.
How do you attach that to the tree?
You use tree huggers to go around the tree.
Okay, what's a tree hugger?
That is basically a tree strap that has it's just like a 6 foot loop, a 6 foot stretch strap with a loop on each end.
Okay. And each end's got a sewn loop on it.
Correct.
Or a knotted loop.
Oh, this one doesn't. Oh. Wrong strap.
Ladies and gentlemen, I promise you there is no agenda for this. So you've got polyester webbing or nylon webbing with the loop on both ends that goes around the tree, and then coming off.
Would hook in.
So you just attach it straight to that.
Yeah, you can you can tie it in a knot. You can run it.
And ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our next term, the next term of the evening, and this is live. I hope you're okay, brother. That is called dry docking. And there's two types. I mentioned last week to Roxanne that there's two types of hammockers in this world. There's those that have dry docked and those that will dry dock. And Mike has announced to everybody that he just dry docked. So it can happen to anybody, even the most experienced hangers, which the term hanger is the definition of an experienced hammock camper. It can happen to all of us at any time.
It happens.
Barry, John, I hope y'all caught that. There we go. All right.
Hey,
ladies and gentlemen, Mike's not a big drinking man, so I promise you he's not had anything to drink tonight.
Nope.
All right, Budget Guns and Gears saying the next term is concussion. That usually doesn't affect until now. I have seen somebody trip over something around a campfire and do a header into a campfire, but hammock camping is usually pretty low stress, so haven't seen too many concussions there, Budget.
And I got a pretty good hard head.
He does have a hard head. All right. So getting this train back on track. For me, the most common way of connecting a whoopee sling to your tree and your tree hugger is through a knot called a marlin spike hitch. And I'm not going to go into the knot. I know how to tie the knot, but as anybody that came out to our hang in February knows, I'm not real good at explaining how to tie a knot. So if you need to, I'll get you, and you're curious about it, I'll get you information afterwards. And if not, we will get that going. So let's see. What else we got, Mike?
The marlin spike hitch, is that the one that uses the toggle?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a little twisty
I'm
duty
not a
knot
person.
Yeah. I used the whoopee sling tree strap or whoopee sling to hugger suspension until I did just what you did and dry docked. and one side dry docked. I was like, you know what? This isn't for me because I hung the whoopee sling on the toggle, not the knot. Bent the toggle, had a problem. It was a learning experience for sure. And since then, I'm not going to stay away from that. All right. Hey, gun loving grandpa, thanks for stopping by. Let's see what else we got on there. What is a suspension line, Mike?
A suspension line?
Yep. That's not in your notes.
Well, I know that. I was just looking at them. A suspension line, kind of losing me there on that one. I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about.
Well, the official definition, and some of these I'm pulling out of my friend Derek Hansen's Ultimate Hang Part 2 book, and he's got the suspension line as the line running from the hammock to the anchor point. The suspension is typically adjustable, allowing the hanger to better position the hammock.
So yeah, I just called it a hammock tie out.
I just call it a suspension, tree strap, whoopee sling.
Oh, you talking about that part of the suspension? Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. What's a double hammock?
A double hammock. All right. Well, to start with, any company that uses the term double, unless they are talking about layers, it is a marketing gimmick to make you think it is a bigger hammock than what it truly is. A true double hammock refers to the layers of the hammock. It's 2 layers of fabric that's the same size, length and width wise. It's not 3 pieces of fabric sewn together in like panels. And a lot of your double layer hammocks will have a spot in between the layers to where you can slide a pad between them for installation.
Okay. Does that mean that a double hammock's better for 2 people?
No. 2-person hammock is good for a divorce.
Okay. So we got a question from the audience. And Budget Guns and Gear wants to know, what is a structural ridgeline and how long should it be? Budget, thank you for the question. And I got to say, something tells me you're being fed these questions, but that's okay. A structural ridgeline is that little thin cord directly behind Mike's head. The whole point of it is to provide a fixed length when you tie your hammock off to the trees and the tree straps, so that no matter how you tie your hammock off, you will have, as long as that ridgeline is taut, you will have the same lay in your hammock. It'll have the same amount of sag that comes out, because that structural ridgeline runs to your continuous loops, which are run to your suspension. How long should it be? It's completely up to the hanger, but the rule of thumb is 83.33% of the length of the hammock. And that math gets a little tricky, because most cottage vendors, like Mr. John Rammel from Trailheads that's in the audience, measure the length of their hammock from the end of the sewn channel to end of sewn channel. Most knockoffs, Amazon sellers, cheap budget hammocks actually measure it from the end of their continuous loop to the end of their continuous loop. So I've got a hammock here from Cedar Ridge Outdoors that these are the longest continuous loops I've ever seen. They are 12-inch or 8-inch continuous loops. Most of my continuous loops are between 4 and 6 inches. So I realize, Mama, I've always been told that longer is better. But the longer those continuous loops, the less adjustability you have, as well as the heavier your hammock is. But I just never felt like taking those off because they just work with the hammock. So hopefully that'll straighten you out. I'm glad to hear that you hammock camp. That makes much more sense, Budget, and thank you. Let's see. Jeff's here. What's going on, Jeff? How's things out in Burlington at the Gear Report headquarters? All right. Let's see. What's a jungle hammock, Mike?
A jungle hammock? That's
And I'm cheating. I've got all the definitions, so if you get hung up, just throw it back at me.
Let's see. I'm gonna see if it's on my paper here. Just see what the paper says before I answer.
It is not.
A jungle hammock is really a netted hammock. I want to say is one of Hennessy's models is a jungle hammock.
Hennessy does carry a jungle hammock. Commonly, a jungle hammock is defined as any hammock that includes an attached bug netting, often with a zippered entrance. Some jungle hammocks include a false or double bottom for additional protection underneath.
And a lot of your older people, if they're referring to a jungle hammock, they're referring to the Vietnam era issued jungle hammock from the military.
Yep.
And it was a netted hammock or had a net that went around it. I forget now. I know it had a lot of cordage on it.
Yeah. Let's see. Bridge hammock.
A bridge hammock. Basically, you have a piece of fabric like this, wide, and you have a bar at each end that holds it open. So you lay down flat. They say you get a good flat lay, no shoulder squeeze. They say the view's better. I don't know. I've only laid in a bridge a time or two for very few minutes at a time.
You know, so I personally don't have a whole lot of experience with bridge hammocks. I need to get more. I've got exactly one night in it, and I will say it almost felt like I was floating on my bed at the house, on my multiple $1,000 memory foam bed at the house. I did have a wonderful view. There was no blocking from the hammock. I could see out both sides just fine. No shoulder squeeze. It felt good. It was a good night's sleep, which is kind of uncommon for the first night in the woods. Let's see, another term that popped up, Dyneema. I think I'm going to take this one because I got the cheat code, and I think this one, everybody will benefit on this one from an actual definition. And Dyneema is a registered trademark. It's a super strong fiber made with, here we go, you ready? UHMWP, which stands for ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. And it's a common fiber used in hammock suspension systems, most notable Amsteel whoopee slings. This fiber is unique in that it can float on water and has a low creep and rebound. It is up to 15 times stronger than quality steel and up to 40% stronger than aramid or man-made fibers. Dyneema is extremely lightweight, durable, and resistant to moisture, UV light, and chemicals. Simply put, this is, let's see if it'll focus on it. That's Amsteel. It is a Dyneema 6-strand fiber. It is 7/64 in diameter, and the brake strength on that is 1,600 pounds. So I was amazed when I started camping that something that thin of a fabric fiber, rope, whatever I called it at that time, was strong enough to hold me and a couple friends up in the air. So, all right. So, bouncing around, we did ridge hammock. What's a gathered end hammock?
A gathering hammock. That's where there's a sewn channel on each end of the hammock that the continuous loop. I always have to find my camera. Goes through.
I got it.
Yeah, it'll show you a visual. But so whenever you pull that continuous loop through there and larkhead it through itself, you pull all the fabric together in a ball at the end of the hammock.
I'm going to show off some of Warren and Richard's stitch work. So this is the end of the hammock, and it is one 58-inch wide channel. That I've got the continuous loop running through, and attached on the continuous loop right here is the ridge line.
Structural ridge line.
Mm-hmm. And then all I do is just loop through, which this is called the lark's head knot. And then I just pull it down. And that's how the hammock gathers at the end. And then attaches to my tree strap, whoopee sling, daisy chain, carabiner, however you want to use it, onto the tree. So we've done.
Speaking of ridge line, this is one that confused me and confuses a lot of people whenever you first get started. Ridge line, structural ridge line, continuous ridge line. So you have a ridge line that's on your hammock. That's your structural ridge line.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have a continuous ridge line that's for your hammock. For your tarp. It runs from one tree to the other tree, and then your tarp attaches at both ends to that continuous ridge line.
Sir, he is not in the crypts. That is the Tactical Sanchez. He knows all there is to know about hammocks and hammock camping.
So, when you get to talking about ridge lines, it can get a little confusing, especially to newcomers, because there's actually different ridge lines. You have like I said, the structural ridge line for your hammock, continuous ridge line for your tarp, or you can have a split ridge line for your tarp. That's where you have a piece of, we'll say zingot, for example, one piece attached to each end of the tarp that goes to this one, goes to that tree, this end goes to that tree. It's not one continuous run between the two trees.
Okay. Let's see. What is the difference between a bishop bag and a double-ended stuff sack?
This is what kind of notes I have. The abbreviations is one of those things that we get to talking, and we're so used to talking back and forth, like me and you and other folks that's been experienced. We go to shorthand and everything, and then you got new people. They're like, "What's a CL? We have them all confused and lost."
Especially typing online.
Like you.
Oh, John, the difference between a button knot and a soft shackle. A button knot is a knot that I can tie and can't explain real well. And the soft shackle is a section of Amsteel cordage that is continuous on one side and the button knot on the other side. And it works as a replacement for a carabiner, as a lighter replacement for a carabiner in various hammock attributes. Budget says, yeah, it's made into Cuban fiber, aka spun gold, because that ain't cheap. That is correct. What is Cuban fiber, Mike?
Dyneema, DCF.
Let's
Super
see.
duper lightweight,
Yep.
super expensive.
Currently, DCF or Dyneema Cuban fiber is considered the lightest fabric in the hammock market. It is zero stretch. It is inherently waterproof. And it makes some of the most beautiful tarps out there on the market because you've got no weight, you've got complete waterproofness. It's not going to absorb any water, and water is not going to splash through it when it gets saturated because it does not get saturated. And by spun gold from Budget, yeah, it's not cheap. DCF tarps are not cheap. Let's see. Speaking of tarps, give me the different kinds of tarps.
You have ASIM. Now,
Okay.
I might get these wrong.
What's an ASIM tarp?
That's the one that's kind of cut a little funny. I don't know how to
So,
explain it, but
when you lay in a hammock, if here's your center line or your ridge line, to correctly lay in a hammock, here's the body, you offset left to right or right to left, whichever. Anyway, you put your head on one side and your feet on the other and lay at a diagonal, which makes it asymmetrical. There are asymmetrical hammocks. There are asymmetrical tarps. Asymmetrical hammocks, you can only lay one direction with your head on the right and your feet on the left. I guess that's called a left lay. But if you lay with your head on the left and your feet on the right, that's called a right lay. I don't understand why they decided to define that based off your feet, not your head. But that's just how it is. So an asymmetrical tarp, as opposed to being A-framed, it's kind of one piece of fabric that kind of folds over. So you'll have more coverage off that symmetrical center line on the foot side as well as the head side, but you give up coverage on the opposites. So if I'm laying head right, or I guess with the video, head left, feet right, and I'm going this way, the tarp will kind of follow me over the ridge line so that my head area is covered and my feet area is covered, but this side and this opposite side don't have as much coverage. It's a weight
kind of like
savings.
it's running on the diamond.
Yeah. So that gets us to the next tarp, the diamond tarp.
It's exactly what it sounds like. Is diamond. It's kind of longer one way than it is the other way.
Okay.
And then if you lean your head where you can see that square behind you, that kind of give you a.
So a diamond tarp is going to be connected here and here at my fingers. Those are your trees. So that when you fold it, you're only tarping down two sides. So in essence, you're creating a diamond. The next common tarp size is the hanger tarp.
That's your
typical
like
A-frame tarp.
Like a rectangle.
Yep. It's going to peek out like an A-frame. You're going to have 4 or 6 usual stakes or guy lines into the ground and then attached at the tree. That's probably the most common tarp out there, unless the only thing more common would be the typical winter tarp, which is a hanger tarp to where the ends will then fold in and cover up to create some pseudo doors to help with foot driven rain or wind or snow.
And on both of those, you some vendors make a cat cut in it, where it's kind of instead of being straight across this.
What's the catenary or cat cut for?
They say it helps get it taller, and in my mind, it would take out a little bit of fabric, reducing a little bit of weight. I mean, but then you're talking tenths and maybe grams that you're taking off of the fat with the fabric.
Yeah. Let's see. I mentioned a guy line.
Guy line is going to be the.
Is there a girl line?
No.
No.
And
okay.
And it's not GUY. It's GUIDE. Guide line.
No, it's guy. It's GUY.
Okay. Well, I've seen it both ways then.
I can see where that could be. Yeah, it could be guideline.
But that basically that connects your tarp down to your stake. And some hammocks even have tie-outs on them where you'll have a guide line going from them to the ground to hold out part of your hammock, either at your foot end or your head end.
Okay.
Or both.
Let's see. What's a modular hammock?
A modular hammock would be something like the Chameleon, where you can change out parts, take parts off of it, add other parts to it, leave home what you don't want to use. Like you can switch out from a bug net to a top cover.
Okay.
With Dutch's
or just go topless.
Yeah, or go topless. You can leave everything behind but the hammock body itself. Like Dutch's, he has the sidecar and what's the other one? I don't have them. So
the sidecar, the side sling.
That's the lane. That was the one I was trying to think
the
of.
winter cover, the bug net, the symmetric bug net.
And then he's got like some little bags to hang inside and stuff. And
yeah. And that's it. A modular hammock's just simply a hammock that you can convert due to climate or weather or time of the year. Mike, what's a snake skin?
A snake skin is typically made out of mesh, like no seal, and you can get it in one piece or two pieces. It slides over your tarp. So you hang your tarp. Pickl does this a lot. He'll hang his tarp. He'll pull it out of the snake skin, slide the snake skin back. Then he'll set his tarp up, leave his stakes in the ground, unclip it, slide the snake skin back over it, so the tarp is just hanging there above him if the weather turns and it's bad where he needs it. It's just a very quick, simple, fast, quick way to pack your tarp up. A lot of people find that the one piece works better than the two piece. The two piece with that slick seal poly on the tarps, it bundles up and makes like a balloon right in the middle. And I don't care how much you fight to get it stuffed in, it's going to come back out. At least that's been my experience with them.
Let's see. John's getting fed questions, probably from Karen. In reference to cat cuts, why do some fabrics need them and others don't?
I'm going to say that I have to do with the stretch factor of the fabric.
It, depending on how the tie outs are run, it makes for an easier job in getting a taut pitch to where, as you can see in the tarp behind me, it's got some wrinkles because I don't have it guyed out on the sides. Oh, John's like, no, sir. He's trying to feed me the questions. I thank you, sir. I appreciate that. But the need for the cat cut just makes guying it out easier and getting that clean, taut tarp that we all strive for to shed rain and just look much prettier. Let's see. Jumping around. What's CBS?
Cold butt syndrome. That's what happens when you don't use an underquilt. You can use a pad that'll help you keep from getting cold butt syndrome. I'm not a fan of pads. Good quality underquilt will change your hanging life.
So what if I have a good quality underquilt? Say it's 35 degrees out and I got a good quality 0-degree underquilt. Am I just completely immune from cold butt syndrome, or could it still happen?
It can still happen if you don't have your quilt hung right. The down has shifted and you didn't. A lot of times whenever I hang my underquilt, I'll go through and pat it after I got it to make sure I don't feel like no dead spots. I feel down like evenly distributed.
Okay.
And if it is like clunked up, you can take and push it around and, get it to where you need it. But if you got a 0-degree underquilt and it's from, I'll stake and say if it's from any of the cottage vendors, if you have a 0-degree underquilt and you're getting cold at 35, something is not performing properly. It's going to be pretty much user error.
Okay.
There's just no way you should be cold with a 0-degree underquilt in 35-degree weather. I mean, unless you're soaking wet and you didn't change base layers and it's blowing, crazy wind. And I mean, there's always going to be that one time that you can have negative 50-degree equipment and be cold at 40 degrees that one time.
Okay. What about 3/4 length?
3/4 length, that's just a shorter underquilt. It generally stops a lot further up the calf area on you. It doesn't cover as much of your bottom half, and it'll stop, further down in the midsection area of the body, more so than a full length coming up to your shoulders, so to say.
Why is it good? What's it good for?
It reduces weight. A lot of people use the 3/4 during the summertime. Some of our people that are more acclimated to cold weather, they run a 3/4 year round. But basically, it's to reduce weight and pack size. Taking up space in your pack.
Okay. Let's see.
I'll add though, a lot of folks when they're using a 3/4 underquilt, they generally have like a set pad with them, and whenever they get ready to go to bed at night, they'll put that pad in the hammock with them and put their lower halves, their heels and their calves on that pad to help insulate that area.
Okay.
They're already carrying that pad with them, so it's not an extra weight penalty to them. They're going to carry it regardless if they're carrying a 3/4 or full length underquilt.
Okay. What's hammock bling?
Hammock bling, that's all your little doodads like your hang time hook. The king of bling, everybody knows is Dutch. He's got 1,500 million little pieces of hardware and doodads, generally made out of titanium. That's going to be your bling, your jewelry for your hammock. Is not necessarily needed. They're very handy in a lot of instances. Some of it's just for personal preference of what you want to use on your hammock. You can.
Okay.
It's kind of like pimping your car out. You can pimp your hammock out with all kinds of bling to do different little tasks.
Okay. Let's see. I got one here earlier that kind of
early
that I had to read twice. That kind of got me because I hadn't heard it much, but I figured we'll get it out there. What's a bug sock?
A bug sock?
A bug sock.
I'm going to say that was probably in reference to a Frumke style net.
Okay.
That's a bug net that goes completely around your hammock. I'm just guessing that's what they're referring to as a bug sock.
Okay. Very good.
I know there is a hammock sock. I think the proper term is probably a winter sock. our good buddy Sean Curtis, he uses one, I think, pretty much anytime he hangs. And it's a piece of fabric that goes completely around your hammock, quilts, and everything. And you can slide it all the way to the head end or the foot end, whatever, to close it off. Some's got like a drawstring in them, some's got a zipper. So you can get in there and close yourself in your own little environment and unzip and peek your head out, sit there and chill in your hammock and hide from the world.
Okay. Skipping back to the tarp land, what's a drip line?
A drip line is pretty much any piece of cordage that you hang off of your suspension or the ridge line for your tarp. It just helps divert water from running down your suspension into your hammock. It'll hit that drip line and drip down to the ground.
Okay.
I use what they can call bank line a lot of times. Piece of paracord of work, shoelace. If I don't have anything and I have a lot of strap left over, I'll run my extra strappage back down my suspension and tie it off before it gets to my cinch buckle and use that strap, or I can just loop it around a time or two and just let it hang. And it's just like kind of like a water dam.
Okay.
Dam it and divert it so it doesn't suck your head. Which, if you've never woke up to water running down in your hammock on the top of your head, count your blessings.
It'll happen one day. Something's
like
not
dry
going to be
docking.
right.
Like dry docking.
Yep. Let's see. All right, let's see. I've got a hammock sleeve.
All right, that's basically going to be the same thing as your snake skin, but it's going to be a bigger piece of fabric. It just makes like a tube. You just slide it straight over your hammock instead of a double-ended stuff sack or a bishop bag. And then you just leave your suspension hanging out each end, clip it together, whatever, throw it over your shoulder, carry it like that. Okay. But it's just another quick, easy way to pack everything up and get to going.
Let's see. What's an undercover?
I was going to mention that an acronym that you'll see a lot, and the newbies, it'll probably confuse them. HYOH. Hang your own hang or hike your own hike.
Yep.
And that simply means exactly what it says. Do whatever you want to do. You're the one doing it. I mean, use a little common sense.
It's also got another term here in the South. It's similar to a Southern woman saying, "Bless your heart."
Yeah, true. At times.
I don't know what you're doing, but you're a moron. So just keep on doing it and hang your own hang. Let's see.
I'm not going to argue with you, but you're
What's a pluck?
A pluck?
PLUQ.
Oh, a poncho liner underquilt, aka a woobie.
A woobie.
If you don't know what a woobie or a poncho liner is,
what is a woobie?
It's what they issue to the military. It actually went inside of their field jackets. Is a big square blanket. It's a little slice of heaven. If you don't have a woobie, everybody should have at least one woobie. I recommend about 5. But funny story about a woobie. So I went and I got me a woobie. I live here in outside of Fayetteville, North Carolina, military town. So it's nothing to find woobies around here. I got a good buddy that's got a surplus store. I went and bought a woobie one day. I got home that evening. As soon as I got home, my girlfriend stole it from me. Well, about 10 minutes later, the dog stole it from her. The dog slept with that woobie every night. I had to go back and buy us both woobies. I could take them, pile them up in a pile, and the dog knew exactly which one was its. And would go over there and drag his woobie out of the pile and pull it over there and make her bed with it and go to sleep. But it's a very cheap way to make a a budget underquilt.
Okay.
It has tie-off points already on it, some strings, so you can just tie, your suspension right onto it. You can pick a Wooby up for 20, 25 bucks. Between 20 and 40, depending on where you are in the country.
All right. A single line suspension.
All right, that one's on you there.
All right. For this one, I'm going to share my screen because this one's a little. I've heard of it and I've thought about trying it, but I never quite got there. You've basically got one line that handles your tarp, your ridge line on your. So it's your tarp suspension, as well as your hammock suspension, as well as your ridge line. And the fixed eyes go around the tree, clip into the prusik to adjust off the length. And then you've got a 11-inch berry on your UCR. Your UCR is the same thing as a whoopee sling, only a whoopee kind of loops around on one end, whereas the UCR is two separate ropes that are together. And your hammock attaches to the alpine butterfly loops. And this one string takes care of, or this one string strap takes care of all of your suspension needs. Now, I will say this, since they are using string, I'm pretty sure these fixed eyes have a tree hugger on both sides attached. I might actually get tempted enough to try this out one day.
Let me know how that works out for you.
Yep. I'll let you know if I dry dock like you did earlier. Early. So let's see. What's next? What's next? We did that. We did that. All right. What's ENO? Who's Eno? And be polite. This is a family show.
Eno is Eagle Nest Outfitters. Yes, Eno does catch a lot of non-love, but in all actuality, they're the company that pretty much brought hammock into the mainstream. They are pretty much a household name because you can go into pretty much any sporting store like Sports Academy, or even up there in like Uari, out in the middle of nowhere at El Dorado Outpost. You can pick up an Eno. They have started improving some of their links. I believe this past year, I think they released a 10-foot or 10.5-foot model.
Yeah, they're getting close to the 11-foot, but I mean, I've been camping for 3-4 years now, and I've never slept in anything under a 10.5-foot, and that's only one of my hammocks is a 10.5-foot. Everything else has been 11-foot, so I don't see why the biggest name in the hammock industry is still trying to play catch up to what I consider normal, but okay.
Well, they started out, and I hope I get all my facts straight. They started out as two young guys in college. I believe it was in Boone. And so, they wasn't hammock camping. It was more for lounging and festivals and stuff like that. And they were selling them basically out of the trunk of their car until they just built up their money and everything. And then they started having them produced overseas. What country they're produced in has changed a few times. I want to say it was Taiwan, maybe, was where they were produced at the last time I looked, and that's been a couple years ago. They're still based out of Asheville, North Carolina. And the Enos are a 3-panel hammock. When I say a 3-panel, there's 3 pieces of fabric that's sewn together, it's typically say like pink in the middle and gray panels on the outsides of the hammock. It's typically two different colors of fabric.
Let's see.
And for the viewers,
What is
I will say
DIY?
not do it yourself.
Okay. Does that mean that I can do it myself when I set up my hammock? Or does it mean something else?
It's more in reference to do-it-yourself gear, where you can make your own gear.
Okay.
I'm not a tailor. That would be a man that sews. I'm not a tailor. I don't sew, but making a hammock is if you have sewing skills, it's a pretty simple task. It's 1 to 2 lines down each side of the full length of the hammock, 3 lines down each end. A rolled hem on the sides, and you make a channel at the end to put your continuous loops through.
Okay.
And Ripstop by the roll and Dutch Wear Gear both sell do-it-yourself kits. You can get some of the kits that the fabric's already measured, cut out. You just got to fold it and sew it. And they have plenty of videos. One good video on YouTube to watch is a lady named Jellyfish. She's got some pretty good tutorials on there on how to sew and how to make stuff. She's not necessarily geared towards hammock gear, but she's geared towards sewing and doing it yourself. And she's just, has a good way of explaining everything.
Okay. Let's see. Vapor barrier.
Vapor barrier. That would be something like your closed cell phone pad or
What's a closed cell phone pad?
I can show you better than I can tell you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I did that on purpose. We're going to see if he dry docks again.
I knew that was coming, so I had already prepared to make sure that I took the time to open it up and slowly sit down.
Oh, you froze on me.
That's me. Oh, we're back.
There you go. I hear you. There you are. I think. Yep. All right. What's that closed cell phone pad?
Say that again.
What's a CCF pad?
It's a closed cell phone pad, like this right here, like I'm showing you. It's generally used for a sleeping pad.
Okay.
Or a set pad.
Let's see. Barry, I think I will test that. We'll figure something out.
Oh, Lord, what's you and Barry plotting?
Oh, he wants to see me test that single ridge line or the single continuous line or whatever it's called.
Barry, make sure you're filming that. He owes you one. You can push him out.
Yeah, I do kind of owe him one. He does owe me one, doesn't he?
Yeah, you set him up for failure. I mean, I do it to myself. I don't need friends setting me up.
All right. What's an undercover?
Undercover? I'm guessing they're referring to an underquilt protector.
Yeah.
It's a piece of fabric that goes on. You hang it just like you would your underquilt. It goes on the outside of your underquilt to help protect from splashback when it's raining. Okay. It'll help block out the wind. They say it'll add 5 to 10 degrees temperature rating to your insulation that you're using.
Gun Loving Grandpa says, I thought the 3/4 was for Ghost Tactical and Clover Tactical to use for camping. I'd almost agree with you. And Mike, you don't know Ghost and Clover, but they're both about 3 apples tall.
So they're squirrel size.
No. I think tack squirrels got a little bit of height on them. They're almost leprechaun size.
So they're little red size.
They're kind of little red size. Yeah. Let's see. What would you consider the ultimate hang, and have you ever achieved the ultimate hang?
No, I'm still looking for it. But somebody, my hiking buddy, he just won't carry me to them places that have them really spectacular views. He just, he only carries me.
We're in North Carolina. Those views are all shut down right now.
Excuses. So we'll buy that one for $200.
I think I have achieved it one time. Barry and I went to one of the hammock hangs. I think it was a spring forward hang from last year. And we pulled up to the campsite, and it was after dark. It was raining. It was 10, 11 o'clock at night by the time we got there. We had to go by Gear Report headquarters and drop off something, pick something up. I don't even remember. And we hiked in to Yates' place in the dark, in the rain. First thing I set up was the tarp. And then once I got my tarp hung, I climbed underneath, took a break, took a breather, figured out my next steps, hung the hammock, guyed out the hammock, whole 9 yards, put in my quilts, slept actually pretty good. I was kind of impressed with how well I slept. I woke up the next morning after a cup of coffee and said to myself, all right, let's go straighten out this mess of a hammock, because it was done at night in the dark, in the rain. And I looked at it and I said to myself, it's perfect. There's nothing I need to change. It is set correctly and just how I want it.
The one thing I have figured out, whenever you set up at night, you spend a lot less time fiddling with everything, and you tend to end up with a better hang, just because after you've done it so many times, because you're doing everything out of instinct, muscle memory. You're not second guessing yourself, or let me tweak this a little bit. You're ready to get it done, get it over with, get in your hammock, and it just seems to work out better. At least for me, it does.
Yeah.
And as many times as me and you've camped together, there's been, I don't know how many times we've made camp, plenty of daylight. It's 9 o'clock, time to go to bed before I'm over there even hanging my stuff, and I go over there in 5 minutes and I'm done, just because.
Yeah, I've noticed that about you. I mean, and I guess that's just the difference between us and hiking. When we get to a site, or just camping in general, when we get to a site, the moment I get to that site, I want to find my trees, I want to set my rig up. And then once I'm set up and I know I've got my place to sleep, I can then just sort of chill out, get to the rest of the camp chores and whatever's needed. But you, on the other hand, you set it up almost as we're going to bed. I mean, there's been times where I've climbed into my hammock rig and damn near been asleep before you got your tree strap set up.
Yeah, but you are one of those that can lay down and be asleep in 30 seconds.
Isn't it lovely?
It must be. I mean, see, and that's another thing. Whenever we're out there, especially like whenever we were hiking, when we got to camp, if I went ahead and set up as soon as we got there, I had nothing else to look forward to. As long as if I hadn't set up, then in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I still got to set up. We're good. We're going to be here for a while. But the moment that I went over there and set up, it was like, well, the day's done. It's over with. I might as well just get in the hammock and go to bed.
Okay. Let's see. Well, it's 8 o'clock, top of the hour. We got through that. for the second half. If anybody in the viewership wants to join along and come hang out with us, shoot me a message, preferably on Facebook, and I'll get you the link. And just have prefer to have a webcam and microphone so that we can see and hear you. And you're more than welcome to join us on the live stream. Any questions?
Just to throw it out there, mobile does work.
Yep. Mobile does work. Stronger the signal, obviously, the better response we're going to get.
And this whole time I've been running 4G with 1 bar signal.
Yeah, we need to work on that.
Oh, well, it's this building I'm in. The metal just kills the signal, kills my Wi-Fi and everything.
Gotcha. Let's see.
But hopefully before long I'll be running hardwire out here.
Let's see. Any questions? Anybody want to join us? Let's see. Anybody else is out there trying to message me from the backside?
Hopefully we'll get to have our Thanksgiving hang in November. And after we do that, there's going to be a new acronym in the Hammock community. MP.
What's that going to be?
MP.
MP.
Yeah. Mike Paul. Can you take a guess? Mike Paul.
Mike Paul.
Yes. I'm saying MP, Mike Paul, but that's not what MP is going to stand for.
You lost me there.
The MP's not going to stand for Mike Paul. I was just calling out names so you make sure you can.
I got the letters. What's it going to stand for?
Monolite panties.
Monolite panties. Oh. Try not to think of that, but okay.
Hey, we did good. We went an hour without me derailing it. I had to.
Yeah. We've done pretty well staying on task tonight. Let's see. Barry says he thinks he's going to be out of town that weekend. Yeah,
that's all right. That's all right. I've got your email.
He'll be at
your phone number. I got your Facebook Messenger. You will see it.
We will see it, Barry. You will see it, and we will see you.
I might even have John make me a second pair with some orange trim just for Barry.
You leave John alone. You let John keep sewing his masks. He's doing a good thing. Quit trying to derail him with some shenanigans.
Oh, I think he would make the time. I think he'd stay up an extra hour late one night to make that happen.
Oof.
I think he said he had some Moroccan blue monolite.
Oof.
And we know he's got some green maha that he could make you some trim.
Oof. No, not good. Just a sweet little pickle. I plan on staying that way. Oh. We have a taker. We have a taker for the orange. Mr. Big Fish and Todd Herndon.
Oh, yeah. I do a special dance for him.
And John says he likes Barry too much for that. So I guess Barry's not getting a pair of orange breeches.
I was saying that they were for Barry. Just for his viewing discomfort.
Let's see. Anything going on the interwebs tonight? All right, let's go over all right, audience participation time. Thank you all for showing up and joining us. How is the world in your neck of the woods? Saw a meme today that said in the Carolinas, we're not calling it the coronavirus. We're not calling it COVID-19. We're calling it this shit that's happening right now. So
that sounds legit.
Do what?
I said that sounds legit. That sounds like some Carolina stuff.
So we'll give it a moment for everything to catch up. Anything going on crazy in your neck of the woods?
No, I'm inside right now, so everything's safe out there in the woods at the moment.
Yep. You going to be able to do any hanging coming up?
I hang every day.
I meant outside, fool.
Yes. If not, I'm gonna go stir crazy, and coronavirus ain't what we're gonna have to be reading about.
Yeah. I snuck out with a couple gorge rats last weekend to do some day hiking, but I don't think it's going to happen this weekend. I have a feeling this weekend I'm going to be stuck at the house. So,
I snuck out day before yesterday and paddled about 6 miles probably.
Okay.
And got completely.
All right, I'm going to have to take about a 2-minute break. Boudreaux says he wants to go outside, so give me a sec. Let me let the dogs out.
Go on, Boudreaux. Getting hair on my hammock, making it heavier. Oh, let me click there and see what's going on in the chat real quick.
All right, I'm back. Let's see. John's saying he's been staying home, so he can't say for sure. Ohio's hasn't been too bad so far. Starting to shut down the parks, though. Yeah, North Carolina's parks are all but shut down. It just seemed like everybody on the planet that's more than happy to stay at home and watch TV all weekend long decides that now's the time to go out and go hiking. So they're flooding the parks like it's worse than summertime.
Yeah, forcing us to have to stay home and hide from all of them. Well, we generally go to the woods to
hide from them as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jeff's his daughter slept in the thermarest hammock a few days this week. She loved it. Yeah, I was curious about how that went. I didn't even know you still had that thermarest. And Jeff said they've not talked to him since he gave him his feedback on it. All right. I guess it wasn't a good review, huh? Was that the one that was like 8 foot long?
And back to what John was saying about the Ohio parks. Unfortunately, Salt Fork State Park there in Ohio closed, and that caused Battle Horse Knives to have to cancel their camp out. I think it was the first weekend of May.
I don't think there's a group hang that's even trying to be open right now.
No, us over at Tar Heel, we're playing it by ear till our state parks get back open. We're pretty much, if anything, if there's any hanging, it's going to be 1 or 2, maybe 3 of us get together here and there. Luckily, we do have a large group that's spread out across the state, so everybody's pretty much got a neighbor, whether they've made that connection or not. But there is somebody in their area that they could potentially go hanging with if they just didn't want to go hanging solo.
Yeah. As much as I'm not going to lie, I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but everything that's going on, it really lends that ability to really tumble off the deep end of what's happening in the world and the logistics and the legalities and the rights that are being violated and taken over. And I guess that's probably going to be better served for the Gear Report podcast that's going on tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, same bat time, same bat channel here on YouTube, where they may get into a little bit more right of center discussions that aren't so much PC happy-go-lucky Hammock related. But and I agree with Jeff. The data doesn't support the continuing of all the closures. Okay, maybe in heavily dense urban environments, but in the county I live in, we're 4 weeks into it, and we've got notified of 25 cases in the county. And I'm hearing urban legends that if you happen to pass away at this point in time, unless it was a gunshot wound or a car accident, it's being listed as a COVID-19 death. And I really don't want to get into that, but I'll be honest with you, what's going on right now is more than a little unsettling.
Yeah, we won't go down that rabbit hole of the conspiracy theory and what all I think is really going on. I'll just say there's more to all this than a virus going around.
Yeah, I'm not naive enough to say otherwise, but I think that's one of those situations. I will leave that for a campfire to be announced at a separate time. I'll tell you, on the Gear Report side, for me as the camping guy, it's really making it difficult to get out and test and review gear. I kind of feel like I'm cheating if I'm testing a gear in my backyard where I've got a bailout spot. So that's really caused a challenge. And I'm spending so much time at the day job just keeping the day IT business moving that is really making it difficult to get on through that. All right, bear with me. The furry creatures want back in. Be right back. All right, sorry about that, folks. Thank you for being patient with me. Let the furry creatures back in. I should try drinking heavily. A nice Malbec for the evening, Jeff. The first episode was a bourbon. The second episode was a fancy beer. Third episode, we'll finish off this bottle of a nice red wine. Oh, I see Todd, who decided to show up late and missed the initial intro, says that, Mike, you're looking extra Sanchez-y tonight.
Did it just for you, Todd.
Mike, where did that come from?
We were doing the Uri trail through hike this past October, and I whipped out my bandana to put on because I was starting to sweat a little bit. And it's where Todd turned around and it just come off the top of his head about some Tactical Sanchez, because my trail name is Tactical Squirrel. Hence why I always have the squirrel hanging with me, and he's got his own little knife. And it's a real knife. It will.
You're the only person I know that has a stuffed animal with its own knife.
And that's a custom one-off from Battle Horse Knife. They make they made this one to match my neck knife that I carry.
Yeah, I blame Adam on that completely and totally. Let's see. Go through some of these terms.
Whenever you see somebody talking about CL, that's a continuous loop. We went over what the continuous loop was earlier.
Yep. I actually got one here. That package I'm going to send you for those hammocks. So this is a 7/64 am steel continuous loop. And that's what goes in the end of the gathered end on the hammock. You just feed it through one side, and then when it comes out the other, and just kind of loop it together and then pull it tight.
HF is another one that you'll see mentioned a lot in the chat groups. That's Hammock Forms.
Yep.
Typically referring to Hammock Forms, I believe it's .net.
Yep. It is. It's the Hammock Forums is the forums on the internet for all things hammock related. If you pose a hammock question to Google, I guarantee you it's gonna first response is gonna be back to Hammock Forums. Let's see. Barry had mentioned earlier that the Hootenanny Hang and the John Rock Hang are the only two still not officially canceled.
Do you know where and when those are?
John Rock is Pisgah National Forest. And Pisgah and Nantahala National Forest just announced today that they are having a campfire ban that is in effect until August 8th.
Oh, I know all of South Carolina, you can't have a fire of any kind in South Carolina.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hate to admit it, one way or another, the powers that be are really saying you're not going camping this summer. So,
and we're already starting to have such nice weather too.
I know. Last year at this time it was raining and nasty and disgusting, and here we are, perfect, beautiful camping weather. So,
another acronym that you see a lot is JRB. That's Jacks or Better. KAQ, Kick-Ass Quilts. They're synthetic
which is now what, Arrowhead Outfitters, AHE.
Yes, but I think Arrowhead still makes a model called the Kick-Ass Quilt.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my first underquilt.
Nobo and Sobo, that's northbound and southbound, referring to somebody whenever they're on the trail, which direction they're going.
Yeah. Yo-yo, somebody that walked from one end to the other and then turned around and walked back.
And then that makes them BAMF.
Yeah. And then there's flip-flop. That's when you start in one direction and then go to the end of the trail and flip-flop back. Jeff, I agree. I probably will not comply either. Just kind of working through the logistics to cause the least amount of waves and riffles in my non-compliance. seeing as how I've got the girls that I have to think about. A VCCB, a Vaseline Cotton Cellulose Bomb. What is that for?
Vaseline cotton soaked ball. Is that what you said?
Cellulose Bomb.
You said bomb. It sounds like it's for having fun and tearing stuff up.
I'm gonna guess that's your fire starter.
I'm
Your
guessing
cotton
so
swab
too.
soaked in Vaseline. Let's see if there's anything else.
BBO. Bear burrito.
Bear burrito.
A Bear Burrito oven. That's a Airhead's top cover for their BB.
Yeah.
So I'm not real familiar with Airhead's products, all their model names and everything.
You know, that's where I started, and just kind of once I went to down quilts and learned about Cedar Ridge and Jacks Are Better and Dutch and Hammock gear, I just didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the synthetics. I'm not allergic to down. I didn't see the point in carrying the weight or the volume, and just prefer it.
I do have a synthetic on my wish list, just because a lot of it's got to do with the price point.
Yeah.
And the fact that I really don't need another quilt. At some point in time, I want to get. It's a vendor who's I don't have one of their quilts, and I want one of their quilts. I didn't want one of their quilts, and that's Cedar Ridge. And I have a few 20 degrees already, a sub-0 degree quilt. I have some summertime quilts, but they're hot weather summertime quilts. We're not going to take a chance at anything below 55 with them. Never again.
Yeah,
not happening.
I'm happy with my 40 underneath for the summertime.
And like with me paddling and everything, I want to go with a synthetic set of probably about like a 40 degree set.
That makes sense.
And like I said, part of it is just because I want to help support that vendor, and I want one of their quilt sets.
Now's the time to support the vendors. I mean, they're hurting bad, and even if it's not now, I mean, if you're in a position and you know you're going to spend money come this fall or whatnot, buy gift cards. Buy a gift card from the vendors, and that way they can get the money that they're desperately needing now, and then you can get that. You're not going to be just spending money to spend money. You're spending it, and you'll be able to use that gift card later, or Christmas presents, or donate it to your friendly neighborhood Pickl. So on and so forth. So I'm going to throw out a shameless plug. If you get a chance, listen to the Hang Your Own Hang podcast this month for episode number 55. Yours truly was interviewed by Chris on it. I seem to think it was a pretty good episode, but I'll admit I'm kind of biased that I like to hear myself talk.
And everybody in camp can hear you talk.
Oh, thank you, Mike.
There has been times when we've been camping, and I've not heard Pickl for a while, and I had to go look, check, make sure you was all right.
Well, it was fun. Does it really make you mad that I fall asleep that quick?
No, don't make me mad. Dude, hey, Sleep your own sleep.
But yeah, anybody that's hung with me knows when I say it's bedtime, it's bedtime. Heavens, my wife even knows when I say it's bedtime. Don't be bringing no drama. I'm gonna roll over and go to sleep. You got access to bring drama to me the entire day while that sun's up. But when it's bedtime, it's bedtime. I'm going to bed. Only thing getting me out of the bed are a fire intruder, dog hawking up a hairball, or my daughter screaming and hollering. Outside of that, I'm asleep. And when I get into my hammock at night, it don't take me more than 5 or 10 minutes to go to sleep. There ain't none of this rolling around, tossing, turning, trying to get to a comfy spot. I climb in. Once my feet hit foot bottom, once my feet reach foot bottom of my top quilt, because there's no feeling like the feeling of when you hit foot bottom.
I think I've even seen you falling asleep as you were falling into the hammock.
Stop. That was drunk.
Well, I wasn't going to put all your business out there, but
there was some whiskey involved that night.
What was it you called that? You said y'all were going for a night hike, but you come back and said, I think we went on a booze walk.
All right, y'all, this is Boudreaux. He needs his evening hug before he goes to bed.
Oh, Boudreaux.
All right. All right, let's see. Bottom of the hour, 8:30. It's still early.
Early. I will not comply. I know that's right, Jeff.
Yeah, I think at this point, none of us are really going to comply, at least planning on it.
I've not complied with anything other than my mom and daddy's rules, and I try to break every one of them I could and get away with it, but
you know, my father's got some underlying conditions, so we've kind of stayed away from their place. I'm working from the house, but I've been working from the house for years on and off, so that's not a concern. The girls are at home, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of prefer it that way. It's been real nice having them at the house. The only time I'm really going out is dinner and grocery store. I will say, if anything, I'm leaning towards the local restaurants right now as opposed to the larger chains or fast food restaurants around the house. I've never in my life tipped for takeout, but I'm tipping now just because they're open. I feel dirty going in and out of the grocery store. I mean, my grocery store is just as clean as it was the day before all this started. But for whatever reason, I feel dirty when I'm walking out the door.
Them human beings.
Yeah, I don't know. This, you know, I think Trump actually made a point. Is the solution worse than the virus?
I don't know, but I kind of like this social distancing thing. I don't like people in my bubble to start with.
I mean, when I've been on a trail, the couple times that I've been hiking, and you come up to somebody, and beforehand it was just kind of, you smile, you say, hey, how's it going? You exchange pleasantries and just cruise right on by each other. But now it's hike, stop, separate. Hey, how you doing? And then it's just, and then you go on about your business. So,
well, that brings up one of my pet peeves. I think it's rude whenever you pass somebody on the trail, not to least make eye contact, nod your head, speak, hello something. You get some, it's like they're like purity frightened that they've seen another human being or something, even before all of this virus stuff started. But then again, I mean, I was born and raised in the South, and manners were instilled.
You're also a little sketchy looking there, Tactical Sanchez.
Well, hey, it's a defense mechanism. What can I say? As long as they think I look crazy and they don't find out that I am crazy, then we're all good.
You know, doses, F it, give me the bug and let me build some antibodies. Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one, Dosey. I think, to be honest, I'm pretty sure we all probably had it back in December, but that's a little. Here we go. Screaming Skull, take care, my friend. Never liked restaurants. Makes it hard to motivate myself to go now. Yeah, Jeff. I enjoy cooking. I prefer to cook, but when I think of this, we've got a little restaurant in town it's called the Bristol Cafe and Catering, and I'm not gonna lie, they do take out mimosas on the weekend and give me a 3-egg Charleston shrimp low country omelet. Yeah, I roll up there. Here's $10. I get an omelet, a mimosa, and head on back to the house. I mean, you can't really argue too much about that. So,
sounds like I get some shrimp and grits there.
I don't like grits because I was not raised in the South, but their grits ain't half bad. Friend knows someone at the CDC. They said they knew about the Rona in September. I can believe it. I can completely believe it.
They knew about the coronavirus back during the Obama administration.
My rights are being taken, and I'm pretty sure that was the point of all this. Not me specifically, but let's just see how far we can push and scare the public into staying at home. And see, y'all done got me on the Rona track.
They're trying to get us to go down that rabbit hole, ain't they?
Man, he's trying.
Just 3 letters, and I'm gonna leave it alone. NWO.
Yep. And Jeff knows how to push my buttons too. So there's that. Let's get this party back into the woods. I will say this: once all this is over, that first group hang for everybody after, it don't matter if it's a big one, if it's a little one. That group hang is going to be the group hang for the ages.
As soon as they tell me that North Carolina parks are back open,
game on.
We're going somewhere.
It's game on.
They could tell me on Tuesday, and I might be trying to plan one for that weekend.
Yep.
Just because I know everybody's dying to get out.
That permits are being issued. We're gone. We're headed to the woods. So, well, look.
Speaking of the woods, is anything in Uari open? Can you still?
From what I understand, the trailheads are still open. That they have not shut down the national forest. The Yates Place has a bar across the campground. I believe I've heard that the pit toilet is locked up. The trash cans are locked up.
Or that
Same way with
a keeper lock on it.
yeah, that's true. The same way with jumping off rock. They have not opened up the OHV trails. They have not opened up the mountain bike trails, and none of the horse trails are shut down, and none of the campgrounds are open. So for us hikers and backpackers, you can still park at the trailhead and hike.
Just don't block the road like an idiot.
Don't block the road like an idiot. Don't do anything that's dangerous enough that's going to get you caused to have to get search and rescue out. You can disperse camp, but let's just, leave no trace of all the times of all the camping trips where it's best to leave no trace and do it the right way. Now's that time. If you're going to go out and you are going to camp, be responsible about it. Be sensible about it. I was camping 2 weekends ago and saw National Forest pass my campsite 4 times in the 20 hours I was at that campsite. Never stopped. Why? Because when they slowed down and looked at our campsite, they realized that we knew what we were doing. We were socially distancing from each other at the campsite. We were not carrying on. We were not having a party. We were not doing anything stupid. The campfire was a respectable size.
Speaking
and
of
I will say this, North Carolina's got a burn ban for the 30 counties. Basically, I-77 West is currently under a burn ban in North Carolina.
Speaking of a respectable size campfire, John said he's already stacking up firewood for his fall hang.
Folks, if John Rammel Trailheads is stacking up firewood for a fall hang, and I've seen his campfire, I promise you the International Space Station's probably going to be able to see that campfire as well.
Most likely.
He's the only person I know that you could get 25 people around his campfire and still adhere to the social distancing aspect and be outside the fire ring. So that Trailhead's fall hang is going to be one for the books, I promise you.
I just hate that we're not going to be able to make it to Red River Gorge.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed on that road trip too. That one's going to be a fun one out there with the bluegrass hangers and the Hammock forums peoples out in the gorge. But, you got to do what you got to do. From what I understand right now, I mean, I don't know about Kentucky, but I know if I walked into Ohio right now across the border, I got to quarantine myself for 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, I'm good right here where I'm at.
So,
love my Ohio peoples, but
I promise you, I doubt I'm leaving the good old North Kakalaki until this is really all said and done, unless something serious happens to where I gotta get ghost. But anyway, anywho, we got about 20 minutes left on the time frame. Mike, unless you got anything else, I don't really feel like going down that path tonight. Anybody out in the viewership land got anything else? And give the YouTube feed a chance to catch up.
Oh, I do have one other little bit of thing.
What you got?
Back in November, as you know, because you got to do it, when we at our Thanksgiving hang for our fundraiser, at our Thanksgiving hang for our fundraiser, I told them, if we hit $2,500,
Mike, I can't hear you. Can you hear
me now? I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Mike, I've lost the audio.
I can still hear you. All right, everybody's able to hear me fine. John said Kentucky is the same as Ohio. If you go into Kentucky, yeah.
I got you now. I guess my earbuds decided they didn't want to work anymore.
Yeah, because everybody else can still hear me.
Yep. Sorry about that, folks.
John was saying that Kentucky's the same as Ohio. If you go into Kentucky, you got to quarantine. Okay. But what I was saying was back in November at our Thanksgiving hang for our fundraiser raffle, I told them if we reached $2,500, that I'd let y'all shave me bald and beardless.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it's done to grow back to the point that I was looking like a hillbilly redneck, wings flying out everywhere. So I had to go and reshave my head.
Oh, hell. He done shaved it again.
And,
all right, boy.
So we're going to see every week what kind of progress we make.
Okay.
I promise you it won't take 40 years to grow that like it did that goatee.
Yeah. Folks, just for full disclosure, Mike giving me a little bit of hell here. This manly 13-year-old beard I've got going on, I've not shaved in the 3 weeks I've been at the house. So that's what you got. It is what it is. I'm okay with this at the front, but the sides just, they've never grown in, and I doubt they ever will. But shoot, I'm just hanging out here at the house, so I might as well just not shave.
And I just ain't going to shave because I hate shaving.
So, well, on that note, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. I want to thank everybody for tuning in this week. Next week, we're going to have a pretty good guest, a good buddy of mine, a good YouTube personality. I'll leave it at that and let your mind wander.
Just good all around person.
Tune in next week again on Thursday night at about 7 o'clock. And if you got any ideas or you want to be a guest, please hit myself or Mike up during the week, and we'll see if we can get you on. I'll catch you on the flip side.